I don't know.
They expect to be paid per click.
There
you
okay,
go.
I love that because I happen to be a marketer and a tap dancer. So makes
there you go.
Sense.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey,
that's awesome.
So next week then, Tracy, can we see some moves?
Yes, I will bring my tap shoes.
All right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day from wherever you're joining us. Welcome to another edition of the Digital Download, which is the longest running weekly business talk show on LinkedIn Live, now globally syndicated on the IPGN Internet Radio Network.
Now everyone knows why we make Rob say that and not make all of us memorize.
Do you have to do like voice exercises? You know, red lorry, yellow lorry, or red lorry, yellow lorry. To before you say that.
Do I? No. Should I?
Okay.
Maybe. I'll leave that to the audience. We'll see. Today, we hope to be talking about unlocking the power of collaboration in business. We have a special guest lined up, Gill Tiney, to help lead the discussion. With any luck, we'll have her joining us any moment now. Because, and I hear from her now, we'll bring her on in just a moment. Gill brings a wealth of expertise in transforming professional relationships into powerful partnerships. But before we bring Gill on screen, let's go around the set and introduce everyone. And while we're doing that, why don't you in the audience reach out to a friend, ping them, and have them join us? We strive to make the digital download an interactive experience, and audience participation is highly encouraged. Right. So with that, introductions. Tim, would you kick us off, please?
Yes, I'm Tim Hughes. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite, and I'm famous for writing the book Social Selling Techniques to Influence Buyers and Changemakers.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Tracy.
And just so everyone knows, Tim is very famous about this. So if you don't know him, where have you been?
Yeah.
I am Tracy. There, see, people. Although now I'm at my parents' house and I have no idea what books are in this bookcase. I think there's like some medical dictionary from when my mom was a nurse. Not sure that's useful today. You never know. I'm Tracy Borison, founder of TLB Coaching and Events, a proud DLA Ignite partner, where we are all about marketing that works and not marketing that doesn't work. And we don't get paid by click. Haha. So see how I did there?
Excellent. Alex.
Hello, everybody. I am Alex Abbott, teller of bad jokes, founder of Sapiro, and creator of the Conversation Operating System.
Excellent. Thank you. And myself, I'm Rob Durant, founder of Flywheel Results. I, too, am a proud DLA Ignite partner, and we help startups scale. So, as I said, on this week's episode, we will speak with Gill Tiney, founder of Collaboration Global and director of Steps to Success. Gill is a visionary in fostering community connections and building collaborative strategies. Gill, thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Welcome, Gill.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to be here. I'm looking forward to a really good conversation.
Fantastic. Well, Gill, let's start by having you tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got here.
Okay, so about a decade ago, I still am a business coach, and I was getting a little bit fed up of people saying to me, you see that guy over there at the networking event, he's a business coach as well. You don't want to talk to him. He's your competition. He might steal your clients. I'm like, no, he's a business coach. He does what I do. I want to learn from him. I want to talk to him. It seemed so against everything that I was about to rule and divide, this divide and conquer philosophy. So that was kind of where the seed was planted. And we started having conversations. I met this particular business coach. We ended up becoming business partners. And the conversation was around collaboration. And the more I researched collaboration and looked into spiral dynamics, pendulum theory, all sorts of different things, good country index, I realized that the only way we're going to change our crazy world is to actually take some action for ourselves. So collaboration to me is the solution to all the problems. If you've got a problem in your relationship, collaboration is required. How to collaborate is required. Not the collaboration that we're used to, the what's in it for you and what's in it for me, 50% for you, 30% for me. I'm not sure if that's fair. It's not transactional. It's the collaboration that will transform a relationship, an individual, a community, a business, and ultimately, my plan, change the world. Why not? So it's finding a solution. And I believe that every problem that you've ever had in your life or anybody's ever had, the solution's already out there. And if you haven't found it and you don't know what you don't know, think about that for a minute. Collaboration will get you there. But it's got to be done in a way that opens up possibility rather than closes things down. That's the tip of the iceberg, Rob. That's me in a nutshell. Passionate about collaboration.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for that. So I want to set the stage for today's discussion. Let's start with a basic question. I heard you allude to it already. So what makes collaboration more than just a business transaction?
It's so if you imagine the paradigm that we're currently living in is fear, scarcity, competition. Right? In the business world, there's the fear of not getting enough income, not getting enough leads, not getting enough clients, not getting, not being good enough. There's the scarcity of there's not enough business out there, and I need to be different. I need to work on my why, and I've got to hit all these bases to make sure there's this scarcity mentality. And then there's the fear, scarcity, and competition. Everyone is out there to beat you. Everyone else is out there to knock you down, to climb over you to get their success. In my world, there is a paradigm of love, connection, and abundance. Now, it's a mindset, but it's also a heart set. And people go, oh, it's nothing personal, it's just business. It's like, no, everything's personal. So if you start your business from a place of love and connection and abundance, mindset and a heart set of those three things, then the collaborations that you move into with other people of that same mindset and heart set is going to be with other grown-ups, And collaboration for me is not about the what do I get out of this, it's how much can I give? How can I help? What can I do? So for me and my community, we talk about having a collaboration and going, wow, we earned loads of money out of that, hurrah, that's secondary. But also, now we know what we know, what can we do? How can we do it again? Who else can we do it for? Could we do it for that charity? Could we do it for that community group? Could we do it with some other people and teach them how we know what we've just done? So it's about giving back and about paying forward. Actually, it's not about giving back. Giving back isn't a great thing. It means you've come so far and you're doing all right, so you'll give back. Why don't you give as you go? So as we are learning, we pay it forward. And we want people to understand a collaboration is about, I'm at my best, you're at your best. Anything that happens within this, we can solve because we're grown ups and we can do this. And there are parameters around it that, I've written a book on. I've written a couple of books on, to be honest, that you can follow. But you don't have to have ironclad rules to collaborate. You just have to be human and have a heart that wants to have the best for the other person as well as for you. It's a big subject, Rob.
I love this so much because Jill, I do a lot of networking. One, because I love networking. I think it's fun. But I always tell people that to me, networking is about solving problems. So if I know people and I know what problem they solve, then together as a world, we get to solve more problems because we know. And one of the things, Rob, I don't know if you know this, but you said this like ages ago on the digital download about how it's not about who you know and it's not about what you know, but it's about who knows what you know. And like, for one, I tell somebody that every day. So just so you know, you're famous. You're equally famous to Tim. Maybe.
Not so much.
But this is this is the thing, right? But it does take a mindset of collaboration. I like to use the phrase collective contribution. So it's a little bit different than collaboration, but as a collective, we are making our unique contribution. And when we get to do that, we can solve a whole bunch of problems that couldn't be solved before because we weren't collaborating. So I'm just like, I'm on this team collaboration with you, Joe.
Fantastic.
So Jill, I'm just thinking about, I love what you're saying, by the way, and I'm just thinking about an organization or a business. I've spent most of my career in sales, so I'm thinking a sales organization that are so focused on the quarterly forecast, very transactional in a sense. They might be working strategically to develop business, but they're like, well, we don't have the time for that. How do you address that?
Well, it's the old adage, isn't it? If you haven't got the time to do it right, have you got the time to do it over? And I think once people realize that the value of creating a culture that is founded on love, which a lot of people, in business, all right, Jill, that's a bit soft, we're talking about, it's our superpower, right? It's the thing that connects us. You will not have an HR problem in your business if you found it on love, because you'll find a way through. But also, it's that kind of being aware, once people understand it, that you've got to build the culture that will support everything else. And if you've got a culture of collaboration, of this mindset of abundance, and not what's in it for me, but rather how can I help, then all of a sudden the ego isn't required as much as it perhaps is in a competitive world. You can take your foot off the gas and listen to people and understand what they're saying. And ultimately, you get bigger and better results as a result of doing that. It might be sticky in the beginning because you're not used to it. But as time goes on, it's like, wow, why did we not do this before?
Yeah, I think one of the best jobs I ever had, there was a real feeling of connection and collaboration and trust within not just our team, but across the teams. But I can't help but think, as I'm listening to you, in tech, for example, we've seen, I think Tim might have the numbers, I might get this wrong, is it 400,000 redundancies in 2 years? Across 1,500 companies, and creating an environment of love and collaboration when people are getting laid off must be difficult to do, because we hear leaders talk about, well, we're a family, and there's been a lot of posts on LinkedIn that I've seen that employees are saying, well, stop saying we're part of a family, because you wouldn't get rid of your brother or your sister.
Well, but also, I think more importantly, like, what type of level of collaboration is innately present in a family, right? Like, I love my family, love them, but we can't even decide what to have for like Christmas dinner until the day before, right? Like, the level of collaboration isn't really that high, right? Especially innately, right? Like, it doesn't innately exist. You can create it within a family unit, but it doesn't innately exist in a family unit. So if we're talking about like the whole business is a family thing from a collaboration perspective, it doesn't innately exist unless you have the intention of creating collaboration. Regardless of
exactly, and that's why I'm pushing a P up a mountain. This is really hard to get people to understand that we have been conditioned over the last 400 or 500 years into this state. Now, if you learn a little bit about spiral dynamics, this is historically, geographically, and individually innate in us to be the I'm right, you're wrong kind of state. It's an either or. There is no grey area in between, which is why our politics, which is a whole other subject, can we have another hour after this? Our politics isn't working as well as it should do, because they are pitted against each other and they don't want to lose face. And again, it goes back to ego. So if you had an environment where you grew up, where okay, we'll do it your way, no problem, don't need it, that's all right, maybe next year, can we do it my way next year for Christmas dinner? It takes practice to learn how to. I'll give you an example. The day after the Brexit vote in the UK, we had one of our meetings, and it was a live meeting. All of our meetings are online now. This is a collaboration global community. And the day after the vote, this lady came up to me and she's like, I don't think we should have the meeting. I think we should talk about Brexit. I'm like, well, it's a bit late now. But she was so upset and visibly distressed. I'm like, okay, I'll give an hour of our session over to let's discuss it. Now, bearing in mind we were in central London, I was surprised that it was about a 60-40 split, the Remainers and Leavers. And I stated at the beginning, hey guys, this is a collaboration global conversation. So we're based on love, we're founded on love, mutual respect. We listen, not with intent to reply, but intent to understand. And we have to have respect for ourselves and respect for others. Off you go. And we had an hour of conversation that was emotional, to say the least. There were tears, there was upset, but people weren't upset with each other. They were upset with the situation. There was no anger. There was no being mean to each other. It was just a proper conversation. So after an hour, I kind of went, right, we're going to close down now. We've done an hour. I think we're never going to solve this conversation, but let's move on. And I'm just like ready to go on to the next bit. And without my intonation, as one, they stood up. There's about 35 people in the room, and they went and they hugged each other. And I lost the next 10 minutes of the meeting because they were just like, oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And what the conversation was is, I haven't necessarily changed my mind, but I now can see it from a different perspective. I didn't know that thing. I didn't realize that. And that's the difference when you have grown-ups. And I keep using this phrase, but it's about mutual respect. So when people come to us in our meetings, I'm very flippant. And I say, look, I don't care how much money you earn. I don't care what you do for a living. I don't care whether you are black or white or sky blue pink, gay or straight or can't decide, old or young, male or female, fat or thin, tall or short, I don't care. You're a human being first. So I love you. That's my given. Because I love you, I respect you. Because I respect you, I trust you. It's up to you if you want to lose that. And that's where we all kind of rise and start from that level rather than, okay, prove to me that you're worth listening to. There's no, we don't have to earn respect, it's a given, but we have to live up to that. And that just changes the atmosphere. It's a different vibe in the energy. So
I might start every sales pitch like that now. When someone's on the phone and they're not really listening, they're like, go on, pitch to me.
That's awful.
I just say no. No thanks. Take your time back. This is not what I do.
So Gill, in terms of ego and conflict, is that how you is that how you would deal with it in terms of making sure that you get the collaboration? Because unless you've actually sat on the digital download or watched it, you may not know about those things. So people would not, or you normally come to a meeting with all the things, with all the baggage of the past. So how is it that you actually deal with those, the ego and the conflict?
It depends where you are in the collaboration. If you're at the beginning, hurrah, that's lovely because we follow the rules of the game. Excuse me, I've just got over COVID, so I'm still trying to cope with the cough. We have rules of the game, and we have blatantly stolen that from the Pirate Code, from Sam Melendez's book, Be More Pirate. And basically, we sit down and we say, not so much how much we want to earn from the collaboration, how much, what's the split going to be, what's the deadlines, what are the goals, blah, blah, blah. That happens as well. But the important stuff is like, so what are your triggers? When you're under stress, what's going to really get on your nerves? And we kind of make notes of those things. Maybe, do you know what your limiting beliefs are? So we're cutting off at the pass all the awkward stuff that happens when people are under stress before it even starts. So, for example, for me, if you're in a meeting with me, I don't want you on your phone. There's a teacher aspect in me that goes, just listen, put your phone down, put your laptop down, listen. Now, you might be going, I'm taking notes. And it's like, I don't care. But if we don't have that conversation at the beginning, you don't know that if I'm at the end of my tether and you're on your phone, that will tip me over and you'll see me in not a very nice mode. But having those conversations in the beginning, so we know, I better not be on my phone today. I can see Jill's a bit, it's those kind of awareness and giving and receiving. Also, we have responsibilities in a collaboration. And we kind of like a profiling system. We have 12 responsibilities whereby somebody is responsible for different areas. And we have one person that's responsible for how everyone's feeling and checks in with them. So they don't always say, I'm having a bad day. But if somebody's about to check in with them, you've got permission to go, oh, this has gone wrong and that's gone wrong. And when you can be human and make mistakes and fail, you feel safe. In a safe environment, those egos aren't needed. You don't have to have that. So you feel able to talk authentically, genuinely, and supportively to other people. And then you can have the real conversations like, this isn't working for me. I can't do it this way. How can we move on? And then you find a solution to the problem. There's no finger pointing. There's no like, you didn't do this and you should have done that, because we don't need to be in that space. So when you've got the different responsibilities, that helps as well. It's but if you're in the middle of it already and you're asking me to come in and deal with something like that, I've got to start unpicking of where people are at, and there'll be reasons why they get caught short with the temper tantrum or throwing their toys out the pram, or there's always stuff that's going on. It doesn't take long to find it. Most coaches would be able to unpick that, but it's unpicking it and putting something else in its place that will support them rather than pull them down.
Is there any sort of, so I was just going to say, is there like, because I can imagine, I agree with everything you're saying, by the way, but it's been a tough year for some companies, and they're they're applying pressure on their teams to just get more stuff done and win more business. And is there anything, a paper or a study that has shown that by being a more collaborative, connected organization, you're going to be more profitable, for example?
That's a really good question, Alex. This is so relatively new, this different way of collaborating. Everyone talks about collaborating. The tech industry in particular are usually quite good at it. The music industry, brilliant at it. But this way of sort of love, connection, and abundance and coming together and supporting each other is a different way of collaborating. So I don't think there is that record out there of how much more money is going to come into the fold. Maybe that's something I need to put on my list of things to do. I don't know. I have experienced people, by being supported and being your best self and having this personal growth, it's almost inevitable that your business is going to start growing as well. And then when you start working with bigger businesses, your income does start to come in. But no, I don't know offhand of any study that's been done. But yeah, it should be done, really.
Okay.
I think there's actually, I don't know of the study, but I feel like there's an organization called Strategic Doing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. Actually, our friend Lenwood, who used to come on the show sometimes, is working with the guys at Strategic Doing. And they're an educational institution. They do training in ecosystem building and collaboration. And I'm like 95% sure they've done some kind of study, because they're always doing a study of some nature. So yeah, I don't know if people want to explore that. Strategic Doing there.
Thank you. I'll check those out.
Strategic Doing. Tim has the book.
Awesome.
There you go.
I've not heard of that before. I'll check it out. Thank you very much.
And Jill, I have a question about, you talked about self-awareness, and my experience in big business in particular is that there's actually a very small level of self-awareness that a lot of people bring to the table. So when I think about like two business coaches collaborating, this makes sense. You can have that type of conversation because you have that level of self-awareness. But what if there's like a key collaborator here that like is not willing to play the game? Does that like break the whole thing, or is there something that like the collaboration can do to help move that?
The collaboration can definitely do something to move that. I mean, I am focused on the SME world. That's my world. I've run and started several businesses and still have several on the go, but that's the world I know, and that's the world I focus on. Also, from the point of view of world domination, we are the backbone of the economy, the SMEs. So that's why I focus on, look, if you're good when you're small, then when you grow, this is going to be so much easier for you. Going into the corporate world, I've purposefully not done much work in the corporate world for that very reason. As I walk through the door and I can feel the atmosphere is not quite sunshine and roses. Not always, but on the occasion that I've been there, and it's like, oh, I know this is going to be hard work. And I don't like hard work. I'm too lazy. So, yes, often there is a narcissist in the pile. That person that wants to just be seen as being the best person and always puts a spoke in somewhere to trip somebody up. But I have seen, this will surprise you, the community of the collaboration will get around that person and lift them and help them and support them. So let me tell you a little story. One guy, part of our community, was the Mr. Cool Dude, very successful salesman, and he came and he gave a talk to our crew about this is how you have sales conversations. It was very innovative and it was fun, and he was honestly, cool dude. You could not get a guy more cool than this. Love him to pieces. And he happened to mention to the room of about, I don't know, 30 or 40 people that he hadn't spoken to his dad for a little while. And you could see people go, oh, why is that then? He said, no, it's fine. It's okay. I'm used to it. We're sorted. It's fine. Oh, really? After he'd finished, I noticed one or two people going up to him. So why are you not talking to your dad anymore? No, it's fine. But because they were of a collaborative nature, they loved him as a person, but they could see there was a little bit of a piece of his jigsaw missing. And they rang him up and said, are you okay? Can I help? Do you want some coaching? Is this something you want to talk about? Is there something we can do to help you? Eventually, he had some coaching. He had various phone calls. He went on a little course. One of our members went on a course with him. He came off of the course. He made a phone call to his dad. Now, because of that phone call, his dad got to meet his 2 grandchildren that he didn't know existed. This guy's children got to meet their granddad they didn't know existed. They also got to meet their uncle, who they didn't know existed, which was lovely. And he was so over the moon about it. It was like the argument had never happened. But a year later, his dad had died. Had our community not been persistent, not been brave enough to ask the question, can we help? Is there anything you can do to make it better? If they hadn't done that, he would have continued to have the ego of like, no, I'm fine. I don't need my dad. That's fine. Now, I know there are people out there who's got family members who are awful to them for whatever reason, but you still have to put it to bed in a way that's perfect for you. And it wasn't quite perfect for him. So it's because of that community and that feel and that love in the room that he was able to step out and have that best last year with his dad. That's again, tip of the iceberg example of how people can transform. And the only way you're going to get a really good collaboration is when everyone in that community, everyone in that collaboration, whether it's 3 people in the team or 25 people in the team, they have all had some work done so that they can move over the problems that come up with each other and with outside of the area.
I think it's a really great example. You mentioned possibility at the beginning in your intro, and this is such a great example of that, because he had this like specific realm of possibility that he had accepted, and this is my relationship and I'm good with it and it is what it is. But other people saw a different possibility for him. And not only did they see it, but they presented it to him and gave him an opportunity to say, like, do you want to believe in this possibility? Because if you choose not to, that is fine. Like, we can't make you choose a possibility. But also, now there's new ideas, a new possibility for this, which like manifested in a beautiful way. And I think this is something to think about too, even in terms to your question, Alex. Like, is there a study? Like, what could this look like from a business perspective, right? And I want to share like a personal example quickly, because 2 summers ago, we lost my father-in-law to a very short battle with cancer. And I was working on this project with a couple of other people, and we had a project management call 5 minutes. It started 5 minutes after I found out that my father-in-law had passed away. And so I was like, I'm just gonna go do this, right? Like my brain isn't really working. I don't know what I'm saying. I have this call, I'm just gonna do it, and then I'll think about it.
Yeah.
And one of the lovely things, it was me and a couple of coaches who were participating in this conversation series. And one of them asked me how I am. And when we started the whole project, he was like, I want both of you to promise that you'll tell me the truth. If I ask you how you are, that you will tell the truth.
I love him.
Yeah, I love him too. His name is Alnor. Everyone should know him. So I did. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know, because I mostly am just in shock. I don't know what I'm feeling. And this was a 30-minute call. And for the first 20 minutes of the call, both of these people they just like gave me space, and I started crying, right? And I was like, I have this pizza in the fridge that's like our leftover pizza that me and my father-in-law used to share, and we were the only two that ate it, and I don't know if I can eat it. And like things which as individuals, I think we think sound ridiculous, so we don't want to voice, but it was just amazing to like have that space and support in a business perspective. And then I got to the place where I was like, oh, okay, I actually like had some time to process this. And we had a very productive 10-minute meeting, which is really all we needed in the first place, to like figure out the project management stuff. And everything was fine, right? And I think it always made me think, like, what if, right? Like, what if this was available in the corporate workspace? Because we actually used the same amount of time to achieve, from a business perspective, what we were hoping to achieve. But not only did we do that, but we invested in each other in such a meaningful way that, I mean, you can't, maybe there's not a study, but that's got to help team dynamics. That's got to help productivity, because every single time I've seen it, it's true. So it's possible in a work scenario as well.
Yeah, we're all human beings, and we all function in the same way. When we're sad, we want to be telling people, but we're so used to putting on a mask of like, you go to a networking meeting, how's business? It's fine. And actually you're like, oh my God, business. And you're desperate for business, and it just doesn't work like that. But if somebody would feel brave enough to go, well, actually, I've had a really bad day, then you get support, you get help, you can do something about it, and then you're grateful to those people. It builds these connections and it builds these relationships that you don't forget in a hurry, and you're going to use them again.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Tracy.
Yeah, beautiful.
It's
Jill,
sorry, can I ask one more question?
Please.
Yeah.
Because now my brain is going like, is this a chicken and the egg kind of scenario? Like, is there a certain amount of authenticity that's required to build collaborations, or can like collaboration be the mission?
That's kind of my question as well. I wanted to say, my original question was, how can professionals cultivate a culture of collaboration based on love, connection, and abundance? But it seems obvious now that it's self-perpetuating once it's in place. I guess, to Tracy's point, the real question is, how does that start? Because all of us, our guard is up. That is so unlike anything else we've experienced, even in the so-called world of quote unquote networking and quote unquote collaboration. What you're talking about is uniquely different. How does it start?
Well, independently, people are doing it in all different places. One of my heroes is Ricardo Semler. If you go onto TED.com, look up Ricardo Semler. He's got a fabulous, it's a few years up, probably 10 years old now, TED talk about how he treats his employees. And he lets them choose where they go to work, when they go to work, how much they get paid when they're at work. And he's been doing this for 30 years. And we're now beginning to go, that might be a good idea. And everyone's like, how do you get them to choose how much they're paid? So when we give them the accounts, they can see what everyone's being paid. Oh, well, what's wrong with that? That's a brilliant idea. I love that idea. So it's this kind of freedom. And I think the boss, the person that owns the company, has to be brave enough to realize that, okay, what's gone before could be so much better. Let's start again. And this is how I want to do it. Now, what we're doing in Collaboration Global is I'm holding the space for some people to come and practice. This is what it feels like to be in that space where you can make a fool of yourself, try stuff out, help people, ask people for help, and just have that honesty and that authenticity to go, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't got a clue. We're all in that space. Every so often, so many minutes every single day, we're like, what should I be? So there's no right or wrong because we're human beings, okay? And once you understand that, all of a sudden it lets you off the, I'm doing it right. There's no should or ought or could or need to. It's just about trying stuff out that's going to benefit other people. It's going to help other people. And most of the time you'll get paid because of it as well. But sometimes you should be doing stuff that you don't get paid for. It's not about chasing the dollar. It's about ensuring that your talent and your skills are out there to help as many people as you can. And you will find that the money comes alongside. It doesn't have to be the major focus. It can be an add-on. It can be an also-ran. So I think when people are starting out, because it's historically, we've been conditioned into doing it this way, and now we have to learn that there's another way. So if you look at spiral dynamics with Claire Graves and Don Beck back in the 60s, they were saying that in so many years' time, 50, 60 years' time, we will be evolving into the teal phase. And that teal phase is self-organizing. People will realize that you don't need a hierarchy. You don't need somebody in charge. You don't need somebody to set the rules. It's organic and it happens naturally for the benefit of everyone. So the likes of John Lewis in the UK, all the staff own the company. So it's those kind of changes that are slowly going to emerge, and technology will support us in that, so that we realize that, you know, you don't have to have the boss who's telling you what to do, that you have to be scared if you take half a day sick. All of that will eventually move away because it will be, I'm doing something I love the people I work with, I love the person that owns the company, or I own a bit of the company and I'm very proud of that company, and I want to do the best I can for the company, and I want to grow, and they're helping me to grow. That's the whole package of what we're working towards. So for me, I'd like to be able to say to the governments of this world, when they're giving us these laws, you know, I don't need a law to tell me to be safe on the road. Some people do. Okay, so we'll have a law. But I'd like them to be coming to us to go, so how do you do this collaboration thing? I'll be like, let me tell you how to do it. This is how it works. So we can be the example, however small or however large we get, of people to say, come over here and learn how to do it. And we'll just share with you what we've worked out works for us. It might not work for you, but it probably will. And it's just moving in that space, because at the moment we're an idea whose time has come. I believe whose time has come. I think the way we used to work 50 years ago, you know, how much annual leave do you have? What time do you have to start? I never liked being at work at a certain time. I felt claustrophobic over having to be at that desk at that time and not allowed to go home until that time. It's just so unnecessary. If you're valued as a worker, as an employee, you shouldn't need to be told that. You should want to be there. I know I'm talking in Pollyanna terms. I'm an eternal optimist, and I know it's difficult. Someone's got to start somewhere.
What advice have you got for me then? So I employ my 16-year-old son, who's a content creator, apprentice content creator in the government scheme. And it's a battle getting him out of bed in the morning. I mean, I've got an extra challenge, I think, because I'm dad as well as boss. But
okay,
he hasn't quite, you know, he'd rather play on his Xbox.
Yeah, of course he would.
Do something else.
Yeah. So, first of all, he's not your son. He's another human being.
Okay.
Treat him as an adult. Go back to that philosophy of, you're a human being. I love you. I respect you. I trust you. And let him live up to that expectation. 100 years ago, I was a primary school teacher. And the easiest way that I got the kids to do what I needed them to do was to get them to tell me what they needed to do. So it's like, oh, miss, can you put my coat on for me? Oh, I don't think it's going to fit. No, you've got to put it on me. I said, oh, I don't know how. Oh, dear, can you help me? look, it's like this, and it's like, you put your coat on, aren't you clever? It's giving them opportunities to shine, catch them being good. And that's the same for human beings. Most women treat their husbands like that, to be fair. If you want a shelf put up, that's the easiest way of doing it. Oh, I don't know what to do. There's books on the floor. It's really so untidy. Do you know what I think would look good on that wall? A shelf. Do you really? That's amazing. I'm being very sarcastic and I'm being very sexist. I get that. But it's an effort on your part, but treat him like a grown-up. Sit down and have a family meeting or a business meeting. Get officially, put a time in the diary, go into neutral territory and sit down and say, right, this is what's happening. When my kids went off to uni, when they came back, we sat them down, family meeting, things are going to change. You're 18, this is what happens. Now, from the age of 11, they'd already done their own washing and their ironing. I wasn't doing that. But I was talking about the house and the management of the house. I said, you're going to be doing the shopping once a week. You're going to be doing this and this and this.
Jill, that's my wife that's just commented, by the way.
I can't see how.
She said I like Jill.
Okay. But it's that expectation of them being grown-ups, and I never had a problem. So people that said to me like, oh, what can you do with teenagers? I'm like, you talk to them. I've never had a problem with teenagers. In fact, all my kids' friends will come to our house going, what can I do with my mum? I'm like, okay. And we'd have that conversation because they want to be given responsibility. They want to be helped. And at the moment, there is no desire for him to be with you. So give him a project that is all his, that we can measure and he can be proud of, and help him to be successful. And then let everyone know how proud you are of him, because that's how he's going to want to go, oh, okay, let's go. And it doesn't matter what age you are. We all need that. We all need that. We all need somebody to value us, to listen to us, and to and show off about us and tell other people how good we are.
Robert, from the audience, Robert Matson shares, a lot of managers end conversations with summaries instead of asking the person they're talking to summarize to check for understanding. Great point, Robert. Thank you.
I do that with my 5-year-old, by the way, Robert. What did you hear me say just now? But I think, Alex, it's also an opportunity, and I think this in the collaboration arena isn't something that we talk about enough, is that those types of things give us an opportunity to check our own limiting beliefs and expectations that maybe have not been voiced as well. So, like, I'm an early bird. My husband's an early bird. We just like get up early. My son, not like that. He's 5 and he's like a teenager. Kid doesn't want to wake up. Okay, that's great. He needs to sleep. The thing is that like a lot of times in the societal narrative, we think that if you're not up and early at 5 a.m. club, you're lazy. Okay, so then we think that like, oh, this kid wants, and I mean, as far as I'm concerned, teenagers need their sleep, right? And it's stupid also to make kids go to school at 8 o'clock in the morning when really we should start at 10 o'clock because their brains would work better. Different conversation for a different day from the education perspective. But it gives us an opportunity to check that. Like, am I thinking he's lazy because he doesn't wake up and start work at 8? Do I think that he's irresponsible because he would rather play a video game? These are our own limiting beliefs that stop us from being able to collaborate. So like, hey, like I used to work with this operations director who was just not, if you made this lady get up and be at the office at 8 o'clock, it would have been a disaster, right? And I really appreciate it because my boss noticed this about her. And so her hours were 10 to 6. So still an 8-hour day, but she sets her start time because she's more productive from 10 to 6. I'm more productive from 7 to 3. I got to work from 7 to 3. So, and it was fine. And then we knew, right? Okay, these are our cross working hour times. So if we have to have a meeting, we have to have it in that time. It's things like, I used to work with a team in Toronto. It's 2-hour time difference. We set up a rule that says there's no meetings. No, I mean, client meetings, okay, we can't necessarily control, but there are no internal meetings at anybody's lunchtime. So you can't schedule a meeting at 2 o'clock your time because it's lunchtime for me. I can't schedule a meeting at whatever time for you. Like, this is not, because we respect each other's space and that we are in a different space doing different things. So I wanted to note that, because I think too, from a collaboration perspective, we don't question our own expectations and see how like, oh, this really bugs me. Okay, well, maybe that's not actually about them. Maybe that's about you.
Almost probably definitely about you. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I think also we're very good in society at labeling people. You know, it's like, oh, I'm an early bird. Well, do you know what? Anybody can be an early bird. I spent most of my adult life going, I don't do mornings. I just, oh no, I'm a night owl. Until somebody said to me, just choose to. So I chose the night before. I said, right, I want to get up bright and early. I was awake at 4 a.m. the next day, but I was bright and I'm wide awake, and I couldn't believe it. And I said to this guy, what's the point of me waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning? He said, you've got to practice. You've got to tell yourself what time you wake up. So eventually I became a 6 a.m. person. Don't need an alarm anymore. I choose for my brain to wake up at 6 a.m. and be alert at that point. At weekends, I choose 7. You know, it's like we have this idea of this is what it's like. Oh, I'm an introvert. Oh, I'm an extrovert. It's a label. It's something we can choose not to have.
Gill, at some point, money matters. What do you say to the cynics who hear you say go into collaboration with no intent, and the cynics say, but the way that I've always done things, I know if I do this, it leads to that, which leads to commercial value. How can collaboration lead to innovative solutions and business growth when there's no roadmap that I've been taught in B school?
Yeah, it's not that we don't talk about the money. It's not the focus. So you still have to make the adaptations and the goals around where it should lead you, because you want to measure it. There's always going to be test and measure in businesses, but the focus should be your why. The why are you doing this project to make loads of money? That's not your why. Because if it is your why, then anybody that gets fed up with it, or anybody that isn't happy, or anyone that isn't pulling their weight, it causes problems. But if you can say, right, well, if our why is to make X amount in order to do A, B, and C, and A and B is what we're expected to do, and C is actually running an event for charity, or we can give 10% to charity, or whatever your why might be. Or if we do this, then the company can do an away day or whatever. But make the why not the money, because when it's this stuff, you know, we learned in pandemic, didn't we? What was the thing we missed in the pandemic? Was it the money coming in? Well, maybe, but mostly it was the people that we loved. It was our friends, it was our family, it was our communities, it was the people we worked with on a daily basis because we were stuck at home and we couldn't see them. That was the problem. It was the human interaction. So your why is not the stuff that you get with the money that you earn. It's about the relationships. And when you learn to forget the stuff. So I'll give you an example. A long time ago, when I was first in business, we had a bit of an upset and somebody did us over. And we then owed, because of them, lots of money to lots of other people. And we then spent, long story short, we then spent 2 years paying it all back. So for 2 years, we had a car we couldn't afford to run. I learned how to walk and catch the bus. We didn't have a takeaway. We didn't go to a restaurant. We didn't have a holiday, you name it. I didn't buy an item of clothing, not even a pair of knickers, nothing for 2 years. And you know what lesson I learned from that? Oh, it's wonderful. Marketing no longer works when you're not looking at things. You weren't bamboozled. You didn't have to go shopping. I got so much time back. I wasn't funneled into the marketing people's funnel in order to come out and buy something that was stuff. I didn't need stuff any longer. It released me from that pressure. And you realize that the people that you know the people that are your friends, because they're the ones that say, come round to us for dinner, or we'll treat you for dinner. But it was like amazing that you don't need that much money to survive and get by. So for me, having a focus of money, I'm like, it doesn't light my fire. And I think majority of people, if they're honest, if you're told this will make you £20,000, let's do this, you're like, okay. On its own, it's not enough to get up early. It's not enough to work really hard. It's not enough to work late nights. It's not enough to put up with that idiot that you're having to put up with in the collaboration. It's not enough. But if you have a why, then you'll overcome everything.
Yeah, love that.
We have a
And
couple of comments I want to make sure to share, and then
Robert's
turn it
comment
over
is
to you,
really good.
Tracy. Robert Matson shares, if you know where you're going, you probably will not make a new discovery. Sometimes it's important to have an explorer mindset.
This
And
is why
we have
Robert
another
and I are
comment
friends.
from a LinkedIn user. Why equals purpose. And purpose should be a deep emotional need that you absolutely must fulfill.
Yeah.
So then this is great, because this comes back to my question of like, how important then is it for me as an individual, Gill? So like, yes, we're talking about collaboration, but how important is it for me to know my why so that I can pick projects, I can pick companies, I can pick collaborations that are in alignment with my why? Because I think there's a lot of time. I mean, I went to business school. I feel like there was this underlying teaching of that, like, you go to business school and then you get paid $60,000 a year and then you become a VP and then you make all this money. And like, subconsciously, there starts to almost be this belief that your why is the money, right? That what I'm trying to achieve is the money. So how important is that from an individual perspective to explore?
Do you know when you've maybe at school or college and somebody said something to you and it's like mic drop moment and you're like, whoa. When you get your why, when somebody, and it's a long process, you can't happen in the blink of an eye. You need to sit down with someone and go through all the different variations of your life and who you are and what you want to achieve and where you're going in this world, your legacy you want to leave. Once you've worked that out, it hits the note that you go, that's me. Oh my God, that's me. You transform. It's not a change. It's not like you can go there and then come back again to where you were. You transform so much that you will never be the same person again. And that why, which can change and can evolve over time, but you need to keep a tune into it so that that why will sustain you in your dark times. That why will lift you up to the heavens and make you do everything possible to get it done. That why will mean that the money that comes into you, and it will come into you, isn't as important, but you will still use that money to fulfill further your why that you have. So when people say to me, how much money do you want to make? And I'm like, well, I don't actually need any money, thank you, but I want to make billions, thank you. Not because of me. I don't need anything fancy. I don't need the stuff. But what I would do with it, because my why is if we teach the world to collaborate, we can transform the way we currently operate because it ain't working. And I feel like if I'm not doing something about it, I am just wasting my time on planet Earth. So your why is so important. If you haven't checked out Simon Sinek yet, he's the man that tells you exactly why. It puts a reason in your business. It puts a reason in your family. It puts a reason that hits at the core of your soul so that you can transform and the light will shine. You know, you might call it religion if you like, but you'll catch it and you will not be able to understand how you didn't have it before.
Do you have any advice for somebody trying to define their why, or any resources that you can point them to? I know Simon Sinek's video is great, but to be fair, it mostly tells you that you need a why.
Yeah.
It doesn't go on to really help you figure out, well, how do I figure out that why?
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to have a chat with anybody to start the ball rolling. But I found for me, it was what makes you angry. And it's like when you're so angry about something that you want to do something about it, that's the seed that's planted. And it's like, okay, so if you're angry about that, what could you do? And what about that? And then there's that, and then there's that. So now that's how collaboration came out for me. I was always a nurturer. I was always a supporter. I always wanted to help people, but I needed something to kind of coalesce and bring it all together. And then when it does come together, it's like, yes, that's it. So now on a day when everything's gone wrong, and we'll get those days, like when you have COVID and you can't get out of bed, and I sit there and I'm like, all right, Gill, don't do this. You don't need to do this. Don't feel bad about it. Just give it up. You don't need to be doing what you're doing. And I sit there for a full 10 seconds and like, but I want to do this. I don't want to give up. I can't give up. this is what I'm going to be doing by the time I'm 106. Mark my words. And I just can't imagine it. And that's because my why is so solidified in me now. It's who I am. And that's what people talk about. Gill Tiney equals collaboration. And when you've got something that strong, your personal branding, your business branding, it just grows, and it's magic in so many different levels. From that point of view, how much money you're going to earn, all the way through to the relationships you have with your family.
I'm just going to say, your answer floored me. Start with what makes you angry. And then you went on to explain it, and it was that mic drop that you talk about. But we're talking about, finding your why and all this positivity. So let's start at the opposite of positive. And that makes complete sense when you put it like that. So thank you for that. Reminds me of a conversation I was having with somebody close to me. On this call just yesterday. So I appreciate the solid advice that I get from all of my collaborators and mentors. Gill, how can people learn more? How can they get to connect with you? How can they learn more about what you've got going? How can they learn more about your books?
Okay, well, the first thing I would advise or invite people to a Collaboration Global session. They're always on the last Tuesday of the month, apart from December, because everyone's a bit busy then. And they're online, so you can come from anywhere in the world and just learn. And people say the energy is different. Even though it's online, they can feel the energy in the room. So if you go to collaborationglobal.org, that's the website. You can book in through there, or you can find us on Eventbrite, search for Collaboration Global, and it's free to come along. Obviously, welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm the only Gill Tiney there, Tiney. And if you want to go onto Amazon, my latest book is Together We Can Do Something Wonderful. So again, if you look for Gill Tiney, you should find all the books that I've written there. And the last one is a quote. Together We Can Do Something Wonderful is a Mother Teresa quote. And it basically is the how to collaborate. So if you want to make a start, that's a good place to start.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. This has been another edition of the Digital Download. I want to thank the audience for their active participation. Thank you very much. I want to thank the panelists for being on the show. Again, great seeing everyone. And I want to thank Gill most especially for being here and sharing with us, and collaborating. Thank you. If you have something to say, if you want to be a part of the Digital Download, if you would like to be a guest, visit us at digitaldownload.live and click on Be Our Guest, or just scan the QR code on screen. For myself, for Tracy, for Tim, for Alex, again, another episode of the Digital Download in the books. Thank you very much, all, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Great weekend.
Bye, everybody.